Good morning, everybody. Here we are at the end of our time together. It's gone by remarkably quickly, and I've just been as amazed as you've been. Um, this is going to be a kind of a long and rambling video, so you may need to stop it a couple times. This is the last video I'm going to give you, and I want to talk about how it's going to work this week, and how the finishing up of our work together will go, and some specific sort of nuts and bolts stuff. And then I will stop that and talk a little bit about some larger concepts that I hope we have grasped, and some abilities and skills that I hope have gotten better as a result of our work together. Okay, so let's start with the nuts and boltsy stuff, but I want to start off with one comment, just as a reference to some current events of last week. There was a speech made, and there was some assertion that the speech was plagiarized, and then there was some attempt to deny the plagiarism, and then there was some attempt to cover it up, and typical politics. But I want to address that because rhetoric is my specialty. The speech was plagiarized. If that student had been in my class, that speech would have failed, and if that student had done it again, that student would have failed the class. Let me be truthful with you. The speech was plagiarized. I'm not making a political statement. I'm simply looking at a piece of rhetoric and saying, yeah, that was plagiarized, no doubt about it. So the denials and the cover-ups and whatever, I mean, students do this too. I encounter this once in a great while. So that's just my comment on that issue. It's not a political statement. It's just the fact there was a piece of rhetoric out there that was plagiarized, no doubt about it. So let me tell you about this week. This week I'm starting early because this week ends early. The weeks are overlapping, so don't freak out. If you don't, you'll still get your 50 points for last week if you got in by the Friday deadline in the forums, and you'll still get your 50 points this week. There's really only going to be one forum this week. But I'm starting early because the semester ends on Thursday at 5 o'clock. And so our week will end on Thursday at 5 o'clock. And so everything's pretty much going to shut down Thursday at 5 o'clock. So I want to give you a chance to do as much work as you can with each other this week. This is pretty much your week. There's nothing new coming down the pike. There's one required sort of public peer review. I'm not going to do it in groups this time. And that will be a required activity, and that will contain your forum points for the week. So let me talk about that. The upload of the draft is a required activity that you must do and respond to 2 of your colleagues. The rules are still the same for that discussion. And if you do so, if you put up your draft and respond to 2 of your colleagues' drafts, then you'll get your full credit for the week. If you give me a fighting chance to help you, I will go in and look at everybody's draft, at least the introduction and the thesis statement. So if it appears like you're way off track, I'll try to help you. But here's the definition of giving me a fighting chance. To give me a fighting chance, your draft must be posted by 5 o'clock tomorrow, Tuesday. And then I will go in Wednesday morning, and I will look at whatever's there, and I will make the best comments I can, the most cogent comments I can, with whoever has posted a draft. Obviously, the fewer people that post drafts, the more time I can spend. But if you give me a chance to help you, I will. If you wait until, Wednesday night or Thursday morning to post your draft, I will not be able to help you. You have not given me a chance to help you. So basically, that's your choice. This week, it's going to be just the one discussion, really no new lectures except for this, which is sort of a rambling rant rather than a lecture. Nothing new introduced. I will remind you of the requirements, and then I'll talk a little bit about how to find sources, and then I'll do some more philosophical stuff. I'm going to stop and take a breath and do some more philosophical stuff in terms of the long-term stuff, and what happens in a year's time when you've forgotten my name and you've forgotten most of what you learned in this class. What will still be with you? What will you still be using? What will be a positive force changing your life for the good? Okay, so two things. Please be sure that you read the requirements in the assignment sheet very carefully, and please be sure that you meet all of them. All of them. All right? That means particularly 7 sources, 1 book, 1 magazine, 1 newspaper, and 1 anthology. And I will be able to tell the difference. I need you to do that because I need to know that you've developed the discipline to do so. If you give me less than 7 sources, your paper will not do well. I can't actually count to 7 without even taking my shoes off. The requirements, to my mind, are very, very clearly laid out, and all you have to do is to meet the requirements clearly and precisely. It may not be terribly easy, but there shouldn't be any confusion about what exactly is being required. Again, using those online library databases is the best way to go. That'll do a lot of the grunt work for you. It'll create the citations, and then you just have to tweak them a little bit, and so forth. I know some of you are having trouble finding anthologies. For the purpose of this class, and I'm sure I've said this elsewhere, the Opposing Viewpoint series on the library database, those would be considered an anthology. So you find something on there that relates to your topic and use that, figure out some way to use that, and that will count as your anthology. Okay? Your works cited entries must be complete. You can't just go out to a website, quote something from the website, and copy the URL. That's not how it's done. And there are examples in your textbook and your handbook for how to do that. So that's a good reason for not using just going out to something on the web and using that. Go through the library databases because they will create the correct citation for you. Okay, and your citation is always going to begin with someone's last name, with very few exceptions, because unsigned sources typically are not required, they are not allowed. There are a couple of exceptions that we've talked about in the discussions last week and so forth. But what should stick out to the left in your works cited entry, underneath, over the top of that hanging indent, there should be someone's last name there. And they should be in alphabetical order and all that other stuff which you know about. Okay, in terms of finding sources in general, so that's the first piece, the 7 sources that you must have, and of course other sources in addition to, but part of this exercise is for you to figure out how to define a credible source, how to define someone whom you wish to believe, who you can believe because they've made a logical case. That's one of the much larger and most important principles that we're teaching here. I don't really care about the MLA, and the MLA is changing it up anyway. I care about other stuff, and you've heard me rant about that indefinitely. Okay, so in terms of finding sources, you have to be smart about the way you use the databases. They'll provide tons of information for you, but you have to be smart about the way you query them. Remember, this is a stupid machine. It's not a person. It can't make an intuitive leap like you can. It can only answer the question that you ask it. And if you're not getting the answer to your question from the machine, you're probably asking the wrong question. So the incumbency is upon you to go back and ask the right question. Here's a very simple example. We'll go back to our little global warming thing we've been playing with all semester. If you're looking for global warming in the Coachella Valley and you're not finding anything because your paper topic is something about global warming in the Coachella Valley. Global warming in the Coachella Valley is causing crop failure. That's your argument. Let's just pretend. And you're not finding anything about global warming in the Coachella Valley, and you probably would, but let's pretend that you didn't. Then you back out a notch. You know, you don't say, I couldn't find a source on global warming in the Coachella Valley. Well, can you find a source on global warming in Southern California to use as part of your background info? Can't find that. Can you find global warming in California? Can't find that. Can you find global warming in the Western United States? Can't find that. Global warming in the United States? Can't find that. Global warming in the world? You know, you back out until you start finding stuff and start finding stuff easily. And then you figure out how to use the stuff you found in your paper. If I can't find global warming in, Indio, then I go to global warming in California and I use that as part of my background information, or I figure out a way to weave that into a paragraph. Given that Indio is actually in California, I'll figure out how to do that. So if you're not finding sources, if you're finding too many sources, your search is too broad. If you're not finding anything, your search is too narrow. So use the brains that God gave you and back out until you start finding stuff. And then when you find stuff and you find it easily, that's where you start working. That's working smart, not working hard. Saying, oh, I couldn't find anything on global warming in the Coachella Valley, so I'm giving up, is not working at all. There's a difference. All right, so those are the two things that I think people might be having trouble with. Anthologies. An anthology is a collection of pieces by other people. An anthology will have usually an editor, and it'll be a collection of articles or essays or something written by someone, and then someone else has come along and collected them all up. There are bazillions of anthologies in the library. If you go and ask the librarians there, they're happy to help. But also, if you want to go the easy way and use the databases, then the opposing viewpoints, those I would consider those as an anthology. Not everyone does, but we'll stipulate that one. And then the other thing is, if you're not getting answers to your questions, if you're not finding sources, you're asking the wrong question. And so you have to back up probably and figure out the right question to ask, the right level at which to work, and then the database will yield lots of information for you. Okay? So those are the two things, and as I said, if you get your stuff up in by Tuesday evening, by tomorrow evening, then I will try to help you. If you don't give me the chance to help you, I can't. It's not that I don't want to, it's that you depriving me of the chance to help you. That is your choice, you're adults. Alright, I'm going to stop now and let me see where I am. Alright, I'm at 13 minutes already, so I think I'm going to stop this one and get it up for you and then address the more philosophical concerns in a second little video. Alright, bye.